Laguna Seca sees less racing action than it once did. Modern noise restrictions limit how often motorsports can take place on the legendary tarmac these days. In the virtual world, though, the two-dimensional denizens in the nearby suburbs have no say as to how often cars open up the throttle and fly around this challenging course. So today, with vintage machinery ready to rip, like the Edge once said, it might get loud. You're watching Round 9 of the Lotus 49 World Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, some pretty exotic machinery gets taken around this track with it being in California. Tell us about Laguna Seca.
Do you know the way to Monterey? Yes, just near Monterey and in the central California coast, right near Pebble Beach Golf Course. This Spanish Laguna Seca means dry lake. And look at the surrounding landscape, and well, that would support the translation, Joe. This track was built in 1957. It was a regular stop for kart from 1983 to 2004. Indy Lights still come here, as does the WeatherTech Sports Car Series. You know, in 1989, the track made a pitch to get Formula One, but Laguna Seca was thought to be too remote, too small for an F1 crowd. So Phoenix got the nod. Figure that out. It's 3.6 kilometers, 2.2 miles around, with an elevation change equal to an 18-story building. There are 11 turns that includes the iconic corkscrew. But the best way to get an idea of what this place is really like is to jump on board the GSRC Lotus 49 and take a lap around Laguna Seca.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Laguna Seca. Turn 1 is actually a turn in this car. You need a big lift to get over the hump, but make sure to keep it planted so that you can confidently get on the brakes down into the end ready hairpin. It'll be very easy to lose the rear under braking, or just come in too hot and slide wide. Square off the exit and then try to get the car off to the left for the entry to turn 3. After that, you've got a short burst to turn 4, which will need a dab of the brakes. This is a corner where it'll pay off to be able to get to the power early. Anyone who can't find traction will be susceptible down into turn 5, where passes are likely to be attempted. But this uphill bend will punish your lap times if you don't keep it tucked in nicely to the apex. Once again, get on the gas as soon as you can to keep your momentum uphill. Then, the treacherous turn 6 needs a big stomp of the brakes, a smooth turn in, and a prayer. Since we're still trudging uphill, you guessed it, get onto the power quickly. Be wary of the car breaking loose on this climb though. Set up to the left and brake super early to get it woed up over the blind crest into the corkscrew. The compression at the bottom allows you to put your right foot down sooner than you'd expect, but you don't get much of it. Rainy curve needs a big lift to get the nose to tuck in the late apex. Then switch sides and slow it up for turn 10. Another corner with lots of banking, it pays to keep it all the way to the inside. Then you've got your last good chance for a pass, the final hairpin. Ideally though, you'll want to make sure and not sacrifice your corner exit because of the very quick front stretch. Hopefully you kept it all together and have finished a lap around Laguna Seca. And that should give you an idea of what it's like up and down the crazy elevation changes here at Laguna Seca. Now, as we look at the points championship, you might be thinking, oh, well, Mick Claridge has this thing racked up. Sadly, an interesting development has happened. Mick Claridge will not be able to race the rest of this season due to real-life obligations. Fortunately, a lot going on in Mick's life, so we wish him the best and hope that he'll be able to return soon. But you can see, looking at things, we have 4 rounds left, including today. That gives Michel Dudignon, Ove Trengray, and Enzo Canta a mathematical chance to catch Mick. Unfortunately, Enzo is not here today, so he is out, but Michel and Ove could still be in it. However, they do have to score enough. 3 points for Michel and 4 points for Ove will keep them in the hunt. Sean, what's the Nations Championship look like, though?
Let's look at it here real quick. It's close. It's not quite the same, but I'll tell you what, the efforts of Claridge have put the UK up there on top at 79 total points. The US dragging behind with 22 points. Finland, 38 points with an outside chance here to maybe take down the US, but it's France right now and Italy that are putting up the battle just outside of Finland there in 4th and 5th place. Joe, the top 3 are in jeopardy with that close battle there for 4th and 5th, closing in.
And dutifully, Michel Dudignon puts himself on the pole provisionally. Billy Bob Wright is in 2nd. I'm waiting to see where Ove. Ooh, Michael Thomas actually just toppled Billy Bob Wright. Yeah. Ove hasn't gotten a lap in yet. He must have made a mistake on his first one, and I think we just saw him make a big mistake sliding through turn 3 as well. So even if he gets a time in, this one might not be fast as well. Well, if any of our viewers have never seen the Lotus 49 World Cup, why don't we give you the race details to show you what's going on here today. We are in round 9 of 12. So, as I said, 4 rounds left, including today. 24 laps around this relatively short track, and it is open setups out there, so drivers can tweak them to their desire. However, this is a vintage series, and with most vintage series on iRacing, they share the sets pretty freely, even the fast guys. That does mean, with this being a C-Class race, there are no fast repairs, so if you break it, you bought it. And then the points go down to 8th place, as we see someone, the number 13, have a big problem out there. That was Morin, I believe. Now, Joni Kaisen, for a brief moment, was on the pole, but then Michel Dudignon took him down a notch one more time. And so Kaisen gets slotted down into 2nd. Now, Ove, did he get his lap in? Yes, he did, but he's only as good as 6. So certainly not as strong at Laguna Seca as we saw him, Sean, at Zandvoort last week.
Yeah, Joe, and boy, I'll tell you what, You go back to Ove Trengrade and how important a good qualifying effort. This track can be trouble in a qualifying effort here and putting yourself up top. Very, very important. Passing's tough here, and attrition could be high today. We see people get in trouble up in that corkscrew all the time, but there are other pitfalls here. Turn 1, the hairpin, going into that hairpin anyway. Turn 4 and turn 7. Right there at the end of the Ray Hall straight, and that corkscrew, like I talked about, getting up that hill to the corkscrew, so hard to manage. And if cars are around you, it gets even tougher, and could end your race today up on the top of that hill.
Right on board with Midwest driver Andrew Ang as he completes his last lap. Ben Zocco coming around, I think, for his final timed lap. And actually, he's going to stop just before the start-finish line. And I'm pretty sure that this... Let's see, is this Ove's second time lap here? He's going to come across the line. We'll see if he improves or not. 6 right now, and he does not improve regardless. So that is everyone, and that solidifies our grid. Let's go through the starting order. Michel Dudagnan has put it on the pole. He's going to be the best position to try and catch Mick Claridge before this season is out. Joni Kajanen is going to try his best to stop him. He is starting in second today. Then row 2, Michael Thomas will be P3, and then Billy Bob Wright will be 4th at the drop of the green. Neil Kemp starts in 5th today, with Ove Trengrade rounding out row 3 in 6th. Benjamin Zocco starts in 7th, and then Richard Morin starts in 8th today. P9 goes to Paul Foster, and Andrew Angshawn rounds out our top 10.
Okay, row 6 going to be Don. Tell me something good. Peter Hebron going to start 12th. Raymond Smith 13th. Andres Bruno 14th. Hideki Koivitsa will start 15th today. Randy Huff 16th. 17th, Anthony Catt. And Gary Anderson going to start 18th today, Joe.
Now, even though there aren't scheduled pit stops, we do have a pit reporter with us today, Johan Vandenbelt. The Fan Belt is with us down in pit lane. And Johan, pit lane, a bit of a worry if you do have to make a stop, I guess. That pit entry and pit exit are definitely worth practicing out there.
Yeah, for sure. But like you said, I don't expect anyone to make it to pit lane. Just like last week at Zandvoort, I think the only people that will visit pit lane are the people with problems out on track. So yeah, it looks like today will be one straight race to the finish.
Just a few seconds left here in qualifying, then everybody will begin gridding up for this 24-lap race for round 9 and the Lotus 49 World Cup. Official iRacing racing out there. Wonder if we could bring up the weather and check to see what it looks like out there. 68-degree air temperature, beautiful California day, 95 degrees out on track. So sun heating it up a little bit, but not too bad. 8 mile per hour northwest wind. And only 56% humidity. So a little bit of a breeze, Sean, but these cars aren't that susceptible to the wind, so I don't think that should be an issue.
Yeah, no, I don't think that is going to be an issue here today, Joe. Everybody looks primed and ready to go, and based on those qualifying times, it looks like we have got a quick one in store for you here today. But again, this track has some real pitfalls to it, and it's tricky getting the Lotus 49 around here. Turn 6, Joe, that sweeping left-hander, a lot of fun in this car, just keeping it on the track there and not getting it wide out to the right, and all that beach that you've got out there. A lot of beach out there to the right outside of turn 6.
You have an interesting definition of fun, but as we wait for the engines to rev, lights are up. Green flag is out. Michel Dudagnan gets a decent start off the line, but then as it picks up, Joni Kajanen seems to have the legs on him as he starts to threaten around the outside. It's a battle for first as they come down. Oh, and third place gets tipped. That's Billy Bob Wright and Michael Thomas, who get slid into the infield. Everybody else is safe through, Sean.
Yeah, boy, that was a mess. Luckily, they didn't slide back out on the track in front of everybody, and that lets everybody get through the hairpin there the first time by.
Michael Thomas does get it going a little bit quicker, and he's trying to recover, but Billy Bob Wright gets sent all the way to the back. Dudagnan held off Joni Kajanen. We're going to watch that replay a little bit later. Battle for third. Back there, Neil Kemp, Ove Trangrade, Ben Zoko have to get single file by the time they hit turn 6. And now they climb up the hill towards the corkscrew.
Yep, everybody gone line astern now. I've got one car that is blinking quite a bit, Joe. Keep losing them on screen.
I think that it's Michael Thomas, actually.
Oh, and right next to him, yeah, who was that just went off there?
Don Good.
Was Don Good. He pulled off, let everybody get through. Good job there by Don.
And Gary Anderson was off into the dirt behind him in a completely separate incident. He did clatter the wall. We'll see how he is later on. But as we complete the first lap, your order for the podium: Dudagnon, Kajanen, and Kemp.
Boy, Hideki Koivitso finds himself behind that blinking car of Michael Thomas. It's made it really hard for him, Joe, to make up any ground.
Well, Billy Bob Wright has retired. Thomas is trying to deal with his internet issues. I think we have the replay ready to run. Let's see if we can pull that up. Take a closer look. We caught a little bit of it as we were watching that battle for the lead, and it erupted behind there.
Joe, the car just looked like it got loose under braking.
Easy to do. That crest, people who've driven modern cars around here might think, well, that's not even a turn, but turn 1 really is a turn in this car.
Well, that's a tough one for Billy Bob Wright. Not used to seeing him make those types of mistakes, but let's blame it a little bit on the car and getting into that Andretti hairpin there.
Yeah, it looked like he was just a little unsettled. The car probably not completely back straight from turn 1 and then breaking down to Andretti, which is actually turn 2. I'm sure people thought I was talking about Andretti for turn 1, but it's the second corner officially on this track as we come back to Kajanen. Within half a second of Dudagnon, keeping it on as he's going to make him work for this championship.
It definitely is, Joe. Is all over him right now, to be honest with you. It's a good start by Joni Kajanen. And the battle rage is on. The rattle rage is on behind him because Neil Kemp leading Ove Trangrade and Benjamin Zoko. Those 3 locked up right now also.
I was just going to say, this is where the real battle is. Neil Kemp, how about his start? He was in 5th. He's gotten himself up to 3rd. Trangrade 6th to 4th. Zoko 7th to 5th. All of them, of course, inheriting those 2 spots from the 2 drivers that had a problem on that first corner. As they separate a little bit, coming up to turn 6. Ove, I believe, should score enough points if he does finish in this 4th place to keep him within touch of the championship with Mick Claridge.
Well, Neil Kemp is from California. I'm going to say I'm not shocked to see him up here with such a great start.
Ooh, we had a car tow. Is that... Let's see, I see Hebron off, so it wasn't him.
He was thinking Don Good. Yeah, more trouble for Don Good there, Joe.
Oh, he just pulled off. I think he decided the car was not in a good shape. Hebron was a completely separate incident, but it's not worth getting a replay. I think he was up in the corkscrew and just lost control of the rear end, almost looped it around, got it going once again. He is back in 12th now. I believe he maybe lost only 1 position from that half spin. Here as we watch this battle for 3rd, continuing on. You can already see the difficulty in trying to pass here, Sean, as they kind of start to string out.
Yeah, they're doing it now. Just locked eyes on Paul Foster, who is up to 6th. He started 9th. Got an outside chance of catching up to the top 5 here. He's not that far behind. Just under 3 seconds right now. He's got decent pace. Just got to keep it in the gray and avoid the mistakes, and Foster might find himself fighting for a top 5 spot today.
And from what I recall of Zandvoort, this is actually a much improved performance for Foster. New driver out here, only his 2nd race in the Lotus 49s here on the broadcast. He comes around Rainy Curve, and then up to turn 10, high banking on this corner. Tips it right down to that red apex marker. And then around one last corner to complete another lap for the number 9.
Number 9?
We got some information. It looks like Foster started and finished in 9th. So definitely an improvement. This is going to get him within the points since they award the top 8 final car. Only getting a single point right now is Andrew Ang down in 8th.
Yeah, Ang having a little trouble getting through the hairpin as we're watching on board here.
Yeah, that.
Ang had a little bit of a slide coming through the hairpin. He's able to hold on to it, but it did allow Michael Thomas to get by.
Let's take a look at that. That moves him out of the points. Michael Thomas back up into them. And once again... Oh, no, just outbraked himself.
Yeah, then he had trouble getting the power back down there, of course, because as you know, Joe, once that car starts to brake on you, getting back to the throttle is equally a challenge. Getting the car to straighten itself out.
Aid under the throttle, as they say. As, you know, this track, oh, God, it in real life and on here, it just gets so dusty out there. So I'm not surprised to see someone outbrake themselves into the first corner as we ride on board with Neil Kemp looking backwards.
He's got company. Ove's pushing right now.
He's closing. It was up to about 0.6 of a second. He's got it down to 0.4 now. He's trying everything to help his chances in this championship hunt. Ove will be aware, as it was made public by Mick on the forums, what's going on as he gets a big slide through 4, and that 0.4 gap extends back up to 0.6. This car can be slid around, but you don't want to do it too much. Smooth is still fast.
Yes, it is, and just because those tires look really, really big, guess what? You can still abuse them and get them angry at you, and you don't want to do that here early in this race.
Ooh, he's looking very good through the corkscrews. He regains some of that ground. Coming down through Rainey. They're getting a little bit of a gap on Benjamin Zocco as Ove Trangarade tries to claw that gap back to Neil Kemp to get himself onto the podium. Ooh, he's taking it out to the edge. And once again, it costs him. There's 0.2 he regained. Goes up back to 0.6 again. Riding on board with Zocco, who's just behind Ove Trangarade. Zocco going to have a full plate today. Running out here at Laguna Seca. And he's going to be racing in the 12 Hours of Bathurst in a Porsche.
Yep, pretty much immediately after he gets out of this car.
Going down to turn 5. Still Ove doing everything he can. He's got the pace, Sean. It's just the mistakes keep costing him.
Yeah, and boy, so hard to gain any ground. Look at this. Ove has really got him now. Dead in his wake.
Corkscrew not typically a place you can pass in this car, though. Oh! Keep it together, Ove, and there's a spot as Benjamin Zocco sneaks through on the corkscrew. Let's look at the replay, exactly what happened to Ove.
Lesser men would not have survived this, Joe. What a save by Ove Trangarade. Lives to fight another day, climbing the hill.
It looks like it even was already snapping loose under braking. Watch on board. Let's watch the hands here. Oh, excuse me, this is on Zocco. The thing you never want to see, Sean, is that car going around right in front of you at the top of the hill.
Man, boy, that was a really good save again by Ove Trangarade.
Well, that separates the battle between Trangarade and Kemp, but now brings Trangarade up to Zocco. If we could step away from that battle for just a moment. Unfortunately, it's broken apart, but Raymond Smith was trying to chase down Randy Huff for 13th. He was to within about 0.8 of a second. He's lost a little ground on Huff on the number 17 at this point.
Yeah, but it's not impossible. It's only about a second that separate these two, and Raymond is still in this thing. The car actually looks in pretty good shape, Joe. Still plenty of time to get this done. Just over 16 laps left to go.
In fact, a second or more separates everybody except Trangarade and Zoko. The field is thinning out as we've only lost 2 cars, and thinning out in that sense. 16 still out there. Gary Anderson, the last one running.
Yeah, and apparently Gary's had a problem because that car had just gone into the pit. Haven't been able to find exactly what caused him to get there.
We'll see if Johan can sort out what exactly happened to them. But your leader right now, actually, I believe that gap has gone up since I last looked just a few moments ago. Duden Jan, 4.3 ahead of Kaijinen. Behind Kaijinen, about 2.2 seconds back to the next step of the podium, Neil Kemp. We understand Johan's been able to talk to the team a bit on what happened to Gary. Do they have any information?
Well, I have no clue about what happened and why Gary went into the pits, but I do have news is that he is actually coming out as we speak. He didn't have any contact, didn't have enough, but he spent some time in the pits, maybe putting on some fuel, some new tires, trying to go for a quick lap to finish the race that way. But he is exiting the pits, and as I am talking, he is slowly coming out and going out of the pit exit curve. So it seems like Gary is back on track and we're back in action.
A little bit timid with that pit exit hairpin. It is tough, to his credit, but the Virginia drivers is out and going once again.
Joe, we've got an update from Billy Bob out in the YouTube chat there. He found first gear in an unfortunate spot there. And yeah.
Must have an H pattern shifter on that sim rig.
So that one is on him, unfortunately.
As we watch Ove Trangarade, he was in 4th, battling for 3rd. He's in 5th now. Understand that we got another battle brewing. Remember Michael Thomas? He started all the way up in 3rd, and he had the unfortunate run-in with Billy Bob right at the start. He's been trying to regain that ground since. He's closed into Richard Morin down to within half a second.
Yeah, you know, it almost makes you wonder what could have been for Michael Thomas today if that hadn't happened. But, man, he's done nothing but pick up ground since he fell down the ladder there. And he's climbing back up one at a time here, Joe. Getting a really, really good run at Richard Morin here. I don't think it's a if. I think it's a matter of when right now. He's setting him up for the pass.
He's already back to within the points, sitting in 8th. He's sizing up Michael Thomas now, or excuse me, Richard Morin. Michael working it through Rainy Curve, down to within 0.3. Look at him close in under, breaking down into turn 10. As he looks to the inside, bobs and weaves, sends one up the inside into the hairpin. And if he can get smooth to the power, he does. Morin is still close. He can have another go at him down into Andretti if he wants to, but not quite close enough as they slow up the car so solidly into 7th for Michael Thomas.
Well, now he's put Paul Foster in the crosshairs, Joe. Let's go to 4th place here. This battle for Zoko and Trangarade.
Zoko took a look up the inside, or Trangarade took a look up the inside of Zoko. Get my drivers confused today. Wasn't able to pull it off, though. He's going to have to stay in 5th. Even still, this is going to make Zoko feel pretty threatened at this point. Will he go defensive on some of these corners?
No. Ove going to have to be very careful. That skated cut course. I don't think he got one because he had to slow down, but boy, he was way over the curb there.
Yeah, he cut it awful tight, and he was sawing at the wheel. Gets another run down into the hairpin, but not close enough as he stays in line. This is another chance for him to set up the Australian. Just watch these cars dance over the crest here. You'll see it. You can see how they get light and they rise up over the top of there. Zoko's car looking much more solid through that hairpin.
Oh, Zoko with big trouble there. Slide it out. Almost loses the spot.
once again, just not able to capitalize fully. Trangrade trying everything he can. Defensive move from the Australian down into turn 5. This is where Trangrade tried it last time. He goes for the over-under. He gets better traction. He's inside as they track race up to 6, but Zoko is not brave enough to try that one too wide as he backs out, and it's going to pay off because here he comes with a wide exit from Ove Trangrade out of the corner, side by side, up into the corkscrew. This one is just as difficult. Trangrade trying to hold on to it as he smokes him into the corner. Barely ahead of the Australian once again. Zoko has to finally give up the ghost. Trangrade had to work for that one. Exciting stuff out there.
I got nothing to say about that one, Joe. You had it all well covered there. Wow, what a battle between these two.
Zoko's got the bit between his teeth. They got lap traffic they're going to go by. That's Gary Anderson. He just slows as he lets them through. And while that was happening, Raymond Smith has cut down the gap on Randy Huff down to 7/10 once again.
Oh, now things are erupting here for 6th place. Foster, Thomas getting by.
Already got him. Let's look at the replay, see exactly how that happened. I think Foster might have lifted and let him through coming on the main straight here. Yeah, they're coming down. This is into the hairpin that we're seeing on the replay. And then as you watch here, that darker red car ahead, yeah, that's Foster just pulling aside, and that's a definite lift.
Yeah, he let him go there.
Thomas now up to 6. He was as far down as I want to say 16th was as far as he fell.
Well, yeah, no, he did, Joe. He fell all the way to the back, and he's been able to get back here now into the top 6.
Well, I think I figured out Michael's problem. If we saw a close-up of that paint scheme, and you saw the name Amon on the side there, Sean. Chris Amon, notorious in F1 for being one of the most unlucky drivers in F1 history. Thomas, you might want to change your paint scheme there, buddy.
While he's at it, maybe he could take on the number 13 on that car. just make it all perfect.
Oh, and Randy Huff has given up his spot and then some.
Oh.
And it is turn 6.
It is,
Let's
Joe.
watch the replay.
Car is going to get evil on him as he comes out of turn 6 here.
Oh, yeah. That rear just starts to snap loose. Thankfully, he hit the tire barriers, but still, that was a hard clatter into the wall. How is the car? Let's watch it on board one more time. Might be able to see the damage from this angle.
Yeah, he's in the pit, Joe. I think something broke there. He had to bring it in.
Oh, bad day for Randy Huff. This is going to promote Anthony Catt and Gary Anderson. This is Catt's first race in the Lotus 49. Looks like he's at least going to be able to get to the finish if he can just keep this up. 10 laps to go. He is ahead of Gary Anderson, so if he stays in this position, he will not be last. And in fact, why don't we run it down the order here for you, since we are past halfway. Michel Dudignon, still your leader. He has not given up any time to Joni Kaisen. The Finn sits about 6.3 seconds back in 2nd place. Neil Kemp rounds out our podium. He's 4 seconds back from Kaisen. A mistake from Joni could put him under threat. Ove Trangrade has had a mistake, plenty of mistakes actually today. That means that he has to settle for 4th for now. He's still within 2 seconds of Neil Kemp. He could run him down. Benjamin Zoko about 1.7 back from Ove Trangrade, rounding out Sean our top 5.
All right, and then it's going to go to the hard-charging Michael Thomas, who finds himself now in 6th. But I'll tell you what, he's got 13.5 seconds to get to Benjamin Zoko. That's a tall order there for that man, but 6th place still awesome considering where he started. Richard Morin now in 7th. Paul Foster in 8th, and there may still be more ahead for him, but he's got to watch out for Andrew Eng, who has now found himself there in 9th and not too far behind, about 5 seconds. So Foster just got to stay focused, keep it on the track. Hideki Koivitso, Joe, he has picked up 5 spots and finds himself now rounding out the top 10.
Here's your top 10 order. Remember, points are scored to 8th in these cars. And right now, Paul Foster, the last of those to be able to score today if they stay where they are. In the meantime, Johan hustled down the pits to try and catch up and see how the damage was on Randy Huff.
Yeah, I can see on the screens that Randy made quite a hit on his rear suspension with that spin in turn 6. But he went to the pits, he took some fixes, I reckon, to the car, and he's back out. He completed another lap. It seems like he's going to try to finish the race.
Another driver that we're familiar with that is out here today that we don't usually see in the Lotus 49's Peter Hebron running in 11th. We know him from the Champion Motorsports Series. CMS has long had coverage here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Good to see him give a go at some of the vintage machinery.
Yeah, Pete, in that John Player Special. Of course, a very, very popular sponsor from that era. And probably one of the coolest liveries of all time, Joe, in my opinion.
Looks good on just about any car you put it on.
It does.
Now, in the meantime, you know, I mentioned that Ove was trying his best to reel back in Neil Kemp because he was fighting him earlier in the race. Well, it was 1.7. It's down to 1.0 flat. As Ove has got the afterburners on. What can the Norwegian do on the California driver? And still he chops down more. Wow.
Yeah, Ove exploring the boundaries of the track, Joe. I think this is all set up right here. I think Ove's really just setting him up for the eventual pass that puts him on the podium.
Well, we might not have the traditional fog here at Laguna Seca, but Ove Trangerade has the red mist. And he is doing all he can to try and... Oh, it's a big mistake from Neil Kemp. Is going to hand it over. Third place driver tumbles down the order. The Californian backs it up to get it going as we go to watch the replay.
Bit by the corkscrew.
Not the first today, might not be the last.
Hate this for Neil. He had such a great run going.
Felt the pressure and he succumbed to it. Let's watch from on board of the Scandinavian. He's getting oh so close. I thought he was going to be able to attack soon, and then doesn't have to. Wow. So, Neil Kemp does recover into 5th, and he's about 8 seconds ahead of Michael Thomas. Now, that doesn't mean anything, because remember, Michael Thomas qualified in 3rd, so he could still run him down here in these final 7 laps, depending on their difference in pace. But Ove Trangerade gets himself finally up into the podium.
You know what? Zoko's got an outside chance here, Joe, to find the podium. He's only 3 seconds behind. One little mistake by Trangerade. Zoko's going to be there to eat it up and take that spot away. Their times are really, really close right now to Trangerade and Zoko.
Ove did overtake Zoka earlier on, but we'll see what happens now that Ove has nobody to chase. He's about 6 seconds back from Kajanen. Probably a little bit too tall to climb. Works his way around that final corner. And as we've seen, Sean, nothing is guaranteed around this track. Just so many difficult corners.
There really are, Joe. This is a common track. A lot of people run here. It's, I believe, free content on the service. And so a lot of experience here at Laguna Seca. But so many places to get in trouble here. Awful slick track to keep the car in bounds.
So we look at Dudugnan. He's extended his gap up to 6.7 over Kajanen. There you can see on track. You know, I made a note even, Sean, and I'm actually impressed today that attrition could play a factor, but only 2 cars out. That's not attrition today.
Yeah, and they were both pretty much right off the top. So the other drivers that have had a little trouble and gotten back on track, Gary Anderson, Anthony Catt, Randy Huff, have all managed to overcome those problems and keep their cars running here. So 16 strong here as we go, Joe, with 5 laps left to go.
Now, most pit reporters in a race where there are no scheduled pit stops maybe would kick his feet up and relax when there's nobody in pit lane. But instead, Johan has sent Simon and Poindexter home to relax. And Johan, you've got an update on the championship situation as things stand.
Yeah, Michel is doing a superb job out in front. Currently, he has like over a 7-second gap to Jone Kaisinen. And if it stays like this, he will close down the gap to Mick in the championship to 22 points. Now, that's probably enough if he can keep this form up for the rest of the season to grab the championship if Mick doesn't return. Ove, with his third place at the moment, still will be in the run for the championship, but he sees his gap to Mick close down to 27 points, which means that he basically has to win every race from now on to still fight for the championship title.
It'll be very difficult for Ove to do that, especially if Michel shows up. He's typically faster than the Scandinavian. Thanks for the update there, Johan. As we're down to 5 laps to go, we look at our overall leader, the Frenchman, Michel Dudignon. He was able to win last season over Ove, and looks like it's going to be repeat.
I appreciate Johan getting that update there for us, Joe. Simon and Poindexter off again snowmobiling in Connecticut again this weekend. So very, very helpful. Hey, another note from Billy Bob. He actually popped the motor when he went down to first there. We didn't catch that, but that's why he was unable to return to the race, Joe.
That makes sense now. As I thought he did tangle with Michael, so I thought that maybe that damaged it, but must have been the motor in that case. I guess Simon and Poindexter getting in the Olympic spirit with winter sports really kicking off last night. If anybody watched the opening, I know I did. It was pretty inspirational, but no such snow out here in the middle of California, just outside of Monterey. So we watch Benjamin Zocco. I don't think he's going to close in on Trangrade. He's about 6 seconds back, Sean. It's looking like 4 laps to go. That's a no-go.
It's been a little bit more every lap, and Zocco just doing good to hang on to the car right now. It's still going to be a great points day.
Oh, Michel goes off, and Joni Kaisinen takes over the lead. This was in turn 6. Did he hit anything? That's the question.
He did. Yeah, he hits it.
He got airborne.
Straight bends it, and now the car is crabbing as it gets back onto the track. Oh, man.
We're going to watch from onboard, but from that TV camera, I don't know if you could see, Sean, that car got all 4 wheels off the ground.
Yeah, it definitely took flight, and he hits it awful hard there.
He's limping now.
Turn 6 again, Joe, just bites another driver.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to have to bring this into the pits.
And something's happened to Zocco?
Oh, my goodness. I think it was in Rainy Curve. Here coming out of the exit. And then down into turn 10. This is coming up to the final corner now. What exactly happened to Zocco? Did he get too many incident points? Oh, wow. And it looks like he might have had too many incidents. I did not expect that. I didn't think it was going to be an issue today.
I'm a little flabbergasted, honestly.
Wow, that changes things dramatically, and I can already hear Johan's calculator furiously ticking away. That moves Joni Kaisinen up to first, Ove Trangrade up to second. Neil Kemp will be in third, and Michael Thomas on his recovery is now into fourth.
Well, Neil Kemp looking over his shoulder going, geez, a little over 2 laps to go. Can I pull this off? The Californian, what a drive for him today. His hard effort has put him now in a podium spot, but Thomas is on the come.
Because Dudignon has to get those repairs done, he is in the pits way too long to try and recover. He's already a lap down. No points today. This puts him out of the championship. And just like that, Sean, that's how swiftly the picture can change.
One trip through turn 6.
Unbelievable. 2 laps to go. Joni Kaisinen looking to be, I believe the 4th person to win a race this season, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. As I'm quickly scanning through the brain here early on a Saturday morning.
So we understand that Coivisto actually is on a great run here. He started in 15th, and he is up to the points. Wow. Well, a little bit of commentator's curse, although our director wants to make claim on this. I said that attrition wasn't a factor, and Sean, we just saw two major players drop out.
I think you brought that up at the wrong time, Joe.
Yeah, really. Sorry, Michelle. White flag is out for the cough machine. Kaijinen has one more to go. This is not decided yet. He has to finish this lap. Even the best can be caught out by the difficult Laguna Seca. So, we do have a little bit of information on Ben Zoko. I'm seeing his throughput fell to an unacceptable level there in our chat. That, to me, says it wasn't incidents. That says internet. So I wonder if his router's acting up on him. Not going to be good for his run at Bathurst if you can't get that sorted out soon.
Yeah, don't say that, Joe.
Sorry, had to bring it up. Joni Kaijinen, meanwhile, if his internet connection can hold out for one more corner, down to the hairpin. Lap traffic, no worry here for the Finn. Joni Kaijinen survived them all. He made an attack in the first corner, but he didn't need it as he takes the win here. The number 2 out in front at Laguna Seca. Ove Trangerade follows him home to keep himself in the hunt in second. And then Neil Kemp is going to round out our podium with a beautifully run third. How about Michael Thomas coming back from tragedy in the second corner to get himself into fourth? He started third, so I'm not sure if he'll be totally happy with that, but boy, that run back up the order, that should give him some satisfaction. Richard Morin, great position. Top 5 for Richard out there. He scores points today. And then Paul Foster, close behind him, coming home in 6th. Andrew Ang looks like he's going to get 7th, and Hideki Koivisto to the final points paying position.
Yeah, that's a good run up the field through Koivisto there.
I think the Finn should be happy with that.
Yeah.
Hebron just outside of the points. Going to come home 9th. Top 10 rounded out by Andre Bruno. He's the last car in the lead lap. Last one that we'll see finish out there. With that, we're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Laguna Seca in California. The twists and turns of this track provided more twists and turns in the championship story as Joni Kajanen takes the win. Bit of a surprise winner today, and Ove Trangerade gets himself into second, the only one now that can stay in the championship battle mathematically. Neil Kemp rounds out our podium. Then Michael Thomas, who started in third, finishes in fourth, but there was a lot of stuff in between that you need to go back and watch to see, as we covered his climb through the field to get back in the fourth after early problems. Richard Morin comes home with the top five. First time scoring points this season for Richard Morin. Great job for him. Same thing with Paul Foster, finishing in sixth. Behind him, it was Andrew Ang in seventh, and then Hideki Koivisto comes home in the final points paying spot in eighth. Peter Hebron comes home in ninth, and then rounding out the top 10 is Andre Bruno. Sean?
All right, we'll drop to 11th, where Raymond Smith will find that spot. Anthony Catt, with a pretty good drive, will finish 12th. Randy Huff, 13th. Michel Dugnan, man, boy, that was a tough one to watch. 14th for him, Joe, and Gary Anderson will take home 15th. Ben Zoko, after his connection issue, will finish 16th. Don, tell me something good. It wasn't very good for him today, though, and he'll finish 17th. Billy Bob Wright, going to have to settle for 18th after popping that motor going into the hairpin there early on in this race, and that is the Lotus 49 field this morning.
That 14th means that Dudagnan is now mathematically eliminated from first in the championship. It's sad to see, but I'm sure we'll still see him out there trying for wins. In the meantime, we do have our winner today, Joni Kajanen, joining us. Joni, you took a look down into turn one, and after you weren't able to make the pass, did you think that was it and that was your hopes for the win?
Yeah, thanks. I thought it was pretty much there, but never give up.
And you didn't give up. You kept at it. And you held on to that second place. Did you see when Michelle went off, or did it take you a moment to register what had happened?
No, it was quite a silly moment. Suddenly I was just P1, so it was quite surprised. But I'm not sure what happened. But I think Michelle hit the curb, and bad luck.
Very bad luck. This track is relatively difficult with this car. Do you consider this combo strong for you, or do you struggle like a lot of drivers around here?
It's kind of Mickey Mouse track with this car, so it's not my favorite, but it's kind of medium track for me.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win. You earned this one out there, going from P2 to P1. Well done.
Yep. Thanks.
That was Joni Kajanen, our winner out there today. And unfortunately, I don't see anybody else. We'll give it a few seconds, see if anybody shows up. But in the meantime, Johan, man, what a wild one. What are your thoughts having watched this one from pit lane?
And it was a beautiful race, so much excitement, especially in the latter part of the race. And one thing that really caught my eye was the incredible amount of people that really survived all the attrition and rose to the top and scored their first points of the season. You have Richard Morin in P5, Paul Foster in P6, Andrew Eng in P7. Like they started 8th, 9th, 10th, but they really didn't give up, kept it clean, and managed to pass the people who actually had problems during the race to score the first points of the season. So hats off to those guys. Really, really well done.
And Sean, next round, we're going to one of your favorite places, but at a bit of a different layout, Coda West. What an unusual choice that they've got for this season.
Yeah, Joe, I was, when the season started, I was a little surprised to see that on the calendar. You're going to use that Coda West circuit, and that should be fun to watch. It certainly eliminates a little bit of technicality, if you will, out of that track. But listen, it's still Coda. It still has plenty of challenges hiding out there in the middle of Texas. So really looking forward to that. I want to go back to what Johan just mentioned about some of the great drives out of these drivers. Michael Thomas, I got to go back to what he did today. Boy, having trouble there on the opening lap, and manages to come back through the field like he did. What a great job and a great run for him today to get back to the points.
Certainly admirable, as he just did not give up. Now, if you're wondering why Coda West specifically, they have mimicked the Skippy schedule this season, as they do have a combined championship that they're doing with the Skip Barbers to help promote participation across both series. And that actually helped quite a bit this season, as we've seen a rise in participation out in the broadcast races. And unfortunately, it means that sometimes the tracks are a little unusual for the Lotus 49. But in the meantime, nobody else has shown up for an interview, which means we're going to close out today. And before we do, we want to thank Jack Ulstead and Ben Zoko for organizing again this season and bringing GSRC back on board. Jack is sadly stepping down from that role next season, but we will have Ben Zoko back once again to help do all this stuff behind the scenes. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast as well. They're listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, Dougie, and Johan. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, or we're on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. Next race we mentioned going down to Texas for Circuit of the Americas. That'll be Saturday, February 17th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.